Welcome to today's panel discussion about studying justice at QUT. I'm Dr. Jodie Deeth, today's moderator. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Studies and a Senior Lecturer at QUT. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Turrbal and Yagara as the First Nation owners of this land that was never ceded. We pay respects to their elders, laws, customs, creations and spirits. And we recognise that these lands have always been places of teaching and learning. QUT also acknowledges the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people play at QUT. To discuss the School of Justice, we have a panel of students in various stages of their academic careers who will share their experiences. We have Camille Locks, a first-year Bachelor of Business and Bachelor of Justice student. She is a member of the College of Excellence and wants to pursue a career in diplomacy and humanitarian aid. We also have Angel Mendoza, a third-year student of Bachelor of Justice and a second-year Bachelor of Law honours. Originally from Abu Dhabi and having studied in the Philippines, Angel has brought to QUT a unique background and a passion for human rights and equality. And lastly, we have Jessie Reneuf, a proud Gubbi Gubbi woman who has lived in Turrbal lands all her life. Jessie is studying justice and psychology and is in her second year. QUT has a highly regarded course in justice, which is why so many students consider a career here. Why did you choose to study at QUT?
Well, graduating in 2017, I was 16 years old. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and at that time, all I wanted was, okay, I'll give it a try. I went to open day, spoke to one of the justice lecturers, and then I said, what is justice? Then I went to the QUT website, checked what it was, and I was like, oh, I can do a double. At that time, I did justice and psychology in 2019. Then I realized I'd rather lean in more to the justice degree, and then eventually I added law. But yes, I chose QUT to study justice mainly because of the culture, the student culture, that everybody is just welcoming and they're allowing you to expand your knowledge. So yes.
So I decided to study a double degree, obviously, in psychology and justice. So I did a Start QUT program in 2019 where I did a psychology unit because I always knew that I wanted to do psychology, but I wasn't too sure what exactly I wanted to pair it with. So when I came here for the Start course, I realized that I wanted to come to QUT because I just love the community. There's so many amazing opportunities here. And then I came to open day and I came to a lot of different things that my school offered to come to QUT. And I realized what justice was. So I always thought that I wanted to do law, but I actually figured out that justice was more the better suited course for me because I'm really passionate about a lot of social justice issues and I'm really want to keep up to date with a lot of the things that are happening. And that's what I think that justice is really good with. And I've learnt so much so far. So I'm really glad I've chosen it.
So for me, what initially drew me to QUT was actually the business course. I was really super interested in business in high school. But kind of like through exploring my course options, and I knew that I wanted to do a double degree, I actually came across justice online on the QUT website. And I have a strong interest in policy and politics, and I'd like to work in diplomacy in the future. And so I saw that it kind of aligned more with my interests. And because I could do it with business as a double, I thought that was the best option for me. And like Jessie was saying, I originally planned to do law, but I thought that justice aligned more with my interests.
What was it about justice that I guess at 17 really dug in for you?
Just knowing the area of policy and governance. When I saw the word policy and governance, that just ticked something in my head and I said, well, I've been to other places, but I haven't narrowed down what is policy and governance, and that just made me want to expand in that area. And I thought maybe choosing justice would help me and explore my passion in that.
Camille, business and justice is a bit of an interesting juncture. How does that work for you as a student?
At the moment, I quite enjoy doing the business and justice combo just because I switch between two kind of trains of thought almost. I have my business kind of like thinking style and then my justice thinking style, and I think they really complement each other. And especially It's especially kind of like, you can see the links sometimes when you're looking at things like white collar crime. You can see those kind of links between business and justice. But then also, I'm really interested in pursuing international business because of that interest in diplomacy. So I'm hoping that those will kind of complement each other more as I progress in my degree.
Jessie, as a Gubby Gubby woman, you come with a really kind of personal and identity background in contending with justice issues as a First Nations woman. What was it about justice that really appealed to you?
Well, I definitely know that personally, I have seen first-handedly where there has been injustice towards Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, and obviously I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that any kind of racial injustice is fair at all. So I think what made me like justice even more, especially compared to law in that fact that I didn't choose law but I chose justice, is that law looked at, like you were saying, the practice of it, whereas justice was more the impact of the law and what occurs to certain groups such as Indigenous Australians. And so I think that's what also made me want to go into justice, to learn more about my people and why all of these issues were occurring.
Tell me about that difficult transition from high school to university, and I'd like to hear, first of all, what was really challenging in that transition for you?
So I definitely found the transition between high school and uni difficult. I did the IB in high school, so I'm kind of used to the higher amount of work, larger workload, but I still found it difficult just because they say that no one holds your hand once you come to uni. And I don't think that's necessarily completely true, but I do feel some of that. It's a lot more independent. You have to be self-directed in your learning. So that was challenging for me. And then also the social aspect, like learning to make new friends and reaching out to new people is definitely difficult. But I think QUT really helped support me with that transition, especially being part of College of Excellence, has allowed me to kind of connect with a network of like-minded people. So that really made it a lot easier.
I know that for me, because I came last year, so obviously at the peak of COVID-19, which was so fun, as I bet you all would agree as well. So first of all, I did the Start QUT program, so I was already used to I understood how the assessments worked to a tiny bit for psychology at least, but justice was a whole nother story. But I thought the hardest thing was, again, like you were saying, it is so different. You have a lot more freedom. There's no one pushing you to do anything like a teacher would, where you have deadlines or those kinds of things. However, I don't technically see that as a hugely bad thing as well, because you have so much more freedom. You get to choose when you get to come to uni. You get to work a lot more. You get to actually do what you want to do in your degree. So I thought that it was pretty hard, but we're here now, so I think it's going good.
So here's the what do you want to be when you grow up question. There are lots of career pathways from the justice degree, and I think that's sometimes one of the things that people coming in find really overwhelming is there's no, when I grow up I'm going to be a lawyer, or I'm going to be a teacher, or I'm going to be a psychologist. And to some extent the double degrees help with that. But really, our graduates work in law enforcement and social justice and intelligence and security, and there's policy and governments, and it's a very broad kind of spectrum. So I would like to hear from you guys in terms of what is it that shaped your career goals and your perspectives?
I always thought that when I would grow up, I'd become a lawyer. That's always what I thought all throughout high school. However, when looking more into it, I loved legal studies, I loved everything about it, but I realized that it wasn't the law side of legal studies that I liked, it was more the justice side, and that I have always been passionate about social justice issues, and so I thought that that's what would help me most with whatever I want to do when I'm older. I'm still unsure about what I want to do with my double degree with psychology and justice. I am hoping to continue study after I finish my degree. I am possibly thinking about becoming a clinical psychologist, but at the same time, I do love having that justice background because there is so much overlap.
I'd just like to say I still am unsure what I want to be when I grow up. Camille, I guess you kind of come from a different standpoint, taking the business and being passionate about business and heading in that agenda. And you've talked a bit about, how justice has contributed to that. You also said that in high school that's what you've always wanted to do, to kind of be in that sphere. Where's that come from?
I'm honestly not too sure myself. Throughout high school, the question that really plagued me was, what do I want to do? Like, what degree do I want to do and what career do I want to have? And that was kind of difficult for me because a lot of the people around me knew for certain what they wanted to do. And they were like, I'm going to go do medicine and I'm going to go do law. And I just would sit there and be like, I don't know. But I know that when I read the news in the morning, the first section I go to is the politics one. Or I'll click on CNN and I'll go the world, like the news. And I knew that my father was in the military, and so we moved around a lot. And I got to experience what that kind of like different cultures and being part of more of like that diplomatic work. And so I knew things that I liked. And then throughout high school also just being really interested in business and doing well in business. And I thought the justice and the business double degree would be just a good way to complement my interests. So I don't really have, I'm interested in humanitarian aid and diplomacy, but I don't really have a specific career path that I want to follow. It's not a linear path. It's more of, I'm just going to do this, I'm going to try my best, and I'm going to see where it takes me rather than knowing where I want to go at this point.
I absolutely love that, Camille. I just think follow what you're passionate about.
Exactly.
And the rest will totally fall into place. And I love that justice, even as a concept, kind of gives you the capacity to do that. Angel, talk to me about how you came to what you want to be when you grow up.
I only decided this year when I received more of like an internship or like a work placement. I studied at Bayside Legal Center and then Caxton. And then I said, I think I want to do, I really am passionate about criminal law and I want to be a prosecutor. But before I decided on that, I started with justice, which if I didn't know about justice, if I didn't come here in Australia, I don't think that will fuel me on actually be passionate about criminal law and just knowing the amount of areas people need help and the human rights. And justice opened my eyes on that. I mean, I wouldn't choose law and to do it with my justice if I didn't know justice first, so I'm biased.
We offer 2 majors in the Bachelor of Justice, Policy and Politics and Criminology and Policing. And there's also a university-wide second major that students can complete, such as journalism and psychology. We have lots of double degrees. And so we kind of try and offer something really broad so students can broaden their skills and their opportunities. Tell me about the first and second majors that you're studying.
At the moment, I'm not studying any major with justice, mainly because I'm trying to fast-track my law degree. But I am debating on criminology and policing and policy. I still don't know. If you have any tips, please tell me.
Tell me about the
better.
debate. What are you debating?
Well, both are. I'm so interested in both, and I want to do both.
Tell me, weigh them up for me.
Well, I love criminal law, so I'm like, oh, criminology and policing. But then I'm also like, but policy and politics. So I'm like,
yeah.
They're sort of like in the 50-50, ratio.
The struggle is real.
It's real. I was like, I don't know what I want to choose.
Yeah. That's right. We can help you with that. We'll
Thank
just
you.
like make an appointment and we'll sort you out. No problem.
Thank you so much.
Jessie, tell me about your majors.
Yes, so for justice, I'm going into criminology and policing. And for psychology, there's no real technical major just because it's such a wide area. But I know that for electives and those things, I'm leaning towards doing ones that are actually somewhat related to justice. So at the moment, I've chosen to do drug and alcohol studies, which when you think about it, you'd actually think it's a justice unit, but it dives into some similar aspects that what justice would if it was actually a justice subject around why people do drugs and alcohol and the impacts of those, including crime, which is what one of my assessments was actually around, and how it impacts a certain group of people, which I think perfectly links hand in hand with a lot of what justice does. But yeah, so that's what my majors are at the moment.
Have you guys had any help with putting together CVs or anything like that?
I have spoken to the career educators.
Excellent. Tell me about the career educators. How
Yeah.
cool are they?
So they were amazing, and especially as a first-year student, I just wanted a little bit more direction. Like, is there some tangible outcome at the end of my degree? And so I just I went to one of the drop-in sessions that the career educators hold, and I got some advice about people I could talk to who have graduated from justice. And I could reach out to them, and I have done that. And then I had a one-on-one session with a career educator, and we just worked on who within QUT can I talk to, like faculty and staff who I can talk to about pursuing a career in diplomacy and humanitarian aid. So that was really great for me as a first-year student.
That's so great. The career educators are really incredible. They also run a lot of programs around writing CVs and going to interviews and doing those interviewing skills. They offer some really exciting work around, I guess, professional skills and how to be a better human in the workplace. So, double degrees. Are you all doing double degrees? Yes, you are now all doing double degrees. Jeez, double degrees are a lot of work. Tell me about your experiences.
I'll go with first year again.
We're deferring to first year. You're doing a double degree. How's it feeling so far?
I actually really enjoy it. I don't think it's any more work than doing a single degree because I'm still just doing 4 units a semester. And I really like that my degrees, even though they may not seem conventionally that they complement each other, they really do, and it allows me to kind of switch my train of thought in the way I think. You know, business is very, well, at the moment, business is very practical, and we're working on strategic recommendations and things like that. But in justice, I'm developing my research skills and looking at more contemporary issues, which is something I'm really interested in. So I actually really enjoy it, and I think that I enjoy it more than I would if I just did a single degree.
How do you manage the workload?
Timetable, and actually having that motivation that I do need to graduate and get that degree. That's the motivation I am right now, just to get that degree.
Okay. Has anyone else got any tips for managing workloads?
I think time management is definitely like a really huge thing that you need to keep up with, because I know that like through myself, I've been working a couple jobs, mainly 2, that with obviously needing to get money and to get by and everything, it's hard to have time for study, but you need to utilize the time that you have as much as possible. But I also think what has helped me and what will help a lot of people is just having good support out there. I know that at QUT, especially for anyone who is Indigenous and wants to be involved with the Udjuru unit, there is so much support for you if you would like it, especially in terms of if you want to improve time management or you need some help with assessments and everything.
Please always improve time management.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the hardest things as a student is to stay on top of what you all need to stay on it. Camille, I get the sense that you're a very organised individual.
I try to be, and you know, I guess it just depends. But I think maybe something that I would suggest for managing a workload is actually taking time to step away from it.
Yes.
And getting involved in some things like volunteering. I do volunteering within QUT as a student ambassador. Well, that's not volunteering, but you can cut that out.
It's partially volunteer.
I get involved in QUT as a student ambassador, and then outside QUT, working with youth organizations is something that I really enjoy. And that's actually helped me to manage my workload, you know, because I have to timetable time for work, time for helping out with the youth organizations and stuff like that. So, yeah, that would be my advice. Take a step back.
So all of that is still, I guess, things that's still demanding of you. I want to know special talent that each of you have that helps keep you sane. What's the thing that you go to when you're feeling really stressed?
I go to the gym a lot when I feel really stressed. After my placement or anything, I just box.
Yeah, I love it.
Just to keep that heat off. I'm just like, yep, I'm gonna get a distinction or a high distinction, I swear. But yes, I go to the gym a lot whenever I feel stressed.
I love that.
Just take my mind off it.
Hitting things is so important.
That's right.
It really is. Just for
legally,
that,
right?
like that. But also, I mean, you know, in terms of the trauma management and therapeutically, like
Exactly.
exerting that energy is really important.
I
Nice
agree.
strategy.
Thank you.
I know that for myself, I'm a vocalist in a jazz band, and I also just love singing. So I think that if I'm ever like really worked up, especially about just any kind of emotions, singing can let out a lot of stuff. So I think it's really important to have something like that, especially like something to let out your emotions is a huge thing, because I think way too many people overwork themselves. I know that I've done it so many times, but like you were saying as well, you need to step back at some point, and I think that like singing is kind of a takeaway for me, and it lets me let everything out.
I love that. Singing is so important. I ride a motorbike, and one of the reasons I ride a motorbike is power ballads in the helmet.
Oh, it's so amazing.
You can like belt them out there, like nobody hears you. It's like you can be as off key as you want. There's no pressure. It feels like jazz band has a bit of pressure in it, but good for you. That's really exciting. Nice work. Hit me with your amazing downtime.
I don't have any special talents. I apologize.
I
But-
totally disagree. I'm sure there is one.
But in terms of having an outlet, I think mainly it's just spending time with my family. I live at home, and my brother started uni at the same time as I did. So being able to just talk about things that are going on, things that stress me out, really helps. And also, just talking with them. I work out with my sister sometimes, so that's fun.
Nice.
That helps relieve
Yeah.
the stress a little bit.
I like those personal networks are so important to keep
Yeah, definitely.
maintaining and can make a huge difference to.
Yes, having a strong support system is something that I really value.
Yeah.
Especially during first year.
Yeah, and you have done first year in a kind of challenging time in the COVID, post-COVID, COVID, post-COVID sphere.
Yeah.
What's really helped with that?
Well, I think I've kind of enjoyed the sort of online, offline kind of way that my degree is working out at the moment. Because I live on the Gold Coast and I have to commute up to QUT. I think having that online option is something that I really enjoy, especially with time management and things like that. But I think, just managing time and talking to my family and also connecting with people at QUT has been really great in helping to manage that, and with support and things like that. Yeah.
I love that. So you've talked a bit about social life, but are any of you a part of a club?
Yes, I'm everywhere.
Excellent. Tell me about being everywhere.
I'm a secretary for QUT Law and Inclusion of Culture. It's a new club, guys. You should check it
I
out.
love it.
I also volunteer for QUT Law Society as a bailiff for a moot competition. I also compete for mooting as well. I am planning to run for Justice Society soon, for next year, hopefully. And I also am part of Leadership and Development Program, and I'm also part of QUT Connect. I'm also an orientation assistant. But yes, that's all.
Goodness me.
Those are my top 7, but yeah.
Top 7.
I'm not going to go on the other clubs, but yes.
So how does this help with your social life?
It helps me professionally network with people.
Yes.
Very, very important at uni. I used to be very shy, and also just develop that skills of presenting. In leadership and development, I'm a facilitator, so I do workshops and just present in front of people, so that really helped me in just presenting myself, and here I am.
Yep.
Yes.
I love this. I can see that you're really working on those being present and being able to put yourself out there.
That's
That's
right.
really
just getting
exciting.
out of my comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. What advice do you have for someone coming into a justice degree at QUT?
Have an open mind. Definitely don't limit yourself in knowing what your passions are. You might not know it now. Like, that's all of us. We started from scratch. We didn't know what we wanted, but justice allowed us to know that. And we have an incredible justice team like Dr. Jody Death that helped us a lot. I mean, I was in her, she was one of my first lecturers, and I just loved it. I loved Introduction to Criminology at the time, and now I'm entering my 3rd year. So.
It's because I'm funny, right?
Yes, that's one of the things. It's very important to have a funny lecturer because it will help a lot with the stress. But
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Jessie, what's your tip? Tip for those coming into the justice degree?
Definitely that it's not as, everyone always hypes university up to be extremely hard, which I definitely think is so, but I think that we all put an extreme amount of pressure on ourselves. And I think that, like we were just saying before, you need to let it out sometime. Obviously, every mark matters and those kinds of things, but I think that we need to put less pressure on ourselves and that everything's going to be okay in the end.
I love that everything's going to be in there. Can I just tell you, I failed my first ever essay at university. Failed miserably, but you figure it out, right?
Look where we are now.
Yeah, we make it happen. Camille, tips, students entering the School of Justice.
Well, I think maybe along the lines of what you can kind of expect. The first thing I did when I put justice as my first QTAC preference was I went online and I looked at the course structure and I went through each unit and kind of like got a gist of what I would be doing. And I think that's important. Like, you need to kind of know where you'll be in the future a little bit. So that would be my advice, was just to just go in depth and look at the course. Don't just choose, just have a look and make sure it's the right one for you.
Excellent, I love it. As academics, we want to talk to you. We really want you to show up to consult hours. We want you to connect with us. We actually want to be able to support you. Life is much more fun for us if you talk to us, and I think that's become really evident today.